Hello and welcome to Lazy Marketing. Today we're looking at LinkedIn automation using a tool called Linked Helper. Before I get into this kind of little tutorial guide review thing, there's a couple things we need to cover and talk about first. The first is that LinkedIn automation can be quite a controversial topic. People have mixed feelings about it. Automated messages are inherently impersonal. And if you abuse tools like this, you can spam or even harass people, and don't do that. This isn't about just firing all out everywhere and just kind of harassing people. You need to be mindful as you do this, as you set it up, and you try to make sure you don't be a dick about it. Just make sure that you are being courteous and thoughtful with what you send out. For me, I tend to automate things that I would send out anyway. So I'll show you one of mine in a minute, but I launched a new product recently, and so what I've been doing is basically creating a list of people to send it to, and then saying, hey, just letting you know I'm launching this thing. So be mindful. Just think of the people that you don't want to just harass people or send it to the wrong people or whatever. Another factor here is that technically automation is not allowed by LinkedIn. So there is an inherent risk by using a tool like this. It is generally designed to kind of drive a browser and mimic the actions a person would take. So you're unlikely or far less likely to get detected using a tool like Linked Helper versus something that kind of fires things at an API or kind of sends HTTP requests instead of using the browser itself. But it's still a risk. In fact, when I first used this, I set it up wrong. I configured my campaign incorrectly. It tried to do too much. It got flagged. I got temporarily suspended for like 3 days, I think it was. So there is a risk. You need to consider this and bear this in mind and make sure you understand that. And if you don't want to risk that, don't use LinkedIn automation. So let's look at Linked Helper here. So this is just their landing page, automation for smart outreach, yep. So like key features are things like auto-connecting with users, multi-step messaging sequences, advanced search and targeting, profile visits and endorsements, so it can automatically go and endorse your new connections and visit their profile and stuff, and just mimic stuff that people do to help engagement and stuff, and the different things that people think or believe helps with engagement. I'll be honest, I don't use many of these tools. I keep it quite simple with my automation, but that might change in the future. So these are the kind of the key features that you can use there, and that thing. Once you've installed it, there's a 14-day free trial to try it out, and then after that it goes to $15 a month. So it's not like hugely expensive. It's quite accessibly priced. So it's got kind of some limitations of the standard plan. So if you plan to send a lot of messages to event attendees, for example, or group members, you might want to review the pro one. But if you're just sending it to standard members, there's not that many, limitations really that you need to worry about. Once you've installed it, it looks something like this. Basically what happens is, actually I go a bit further back, and you log in, you set up your account and stuff like that, and then what you do is then you click play, and it runs basically a virtual machine version of your LinkedIn. So it runs a browser, it runs it, and this is what it controls and automates and does to do its thing, effectively. Before we get into creating automation, there's a few settings you need to worry about. So limits, I want to hear, this is where you can change the different limits of how many actions per 24 hours and limit it on different types of actions. So, don't endorse contacts too many times or whatever it is. So basically means that as part of your automation, you can give limits. So if you have an automation running against 1,000 users, it will have limitations and it will stagger it and make sure it doesn't just do too much and get you suspended. I think this is what I accidentally changed when I first used it that got me suspended for a few days. So leave this as default. That's what I'm doing for now. But a lot of these, I trust their defaults more than anything else because they know what's going to give you the best chance of not getting suspended or caught out, as well as working hours here, which basically you can select what time you want them to run based on times you work. I tend to work between kind of 12 and 8, so I set it to one of those times, mostly because if someone then replies to our messages, I want to be available to reply back to them. So that's kind of the key reason why it's thing. It also means it's not running 24/7, because that looks even more like sus to LinkedIn. If, oh, this person's sending messages 24/7. What a busy bee he is. Make sure you have limits. Make sure you have working hours set and keep them realistic. Don't just say, well, I work all the time because I'm a founder. Okay, let's create a campaign. So create a new campaign. And they have loads of templates here to choose from. So one that's quite useful for you if you're trying to build and grow your network is invite and follow up. So let's go with that one. Next. It's easy to view it in the next window. So let me just skip past this stuff. Great job, add people. Get out of the way. So basically here, so you can view. So this is your workflow as it goes through. So invite second and third level contacts. You'll load in a list of people, or you'll give it a link to a page. I'll show you how that works shortly. And then it'll pull in basically all second and third level contacts, and it will send an invite to connect. And you can select a message to include as you invite people. So here it's giving you a default greetings. I would like to join your professional network. Cheers. Very generic. If you want to have a message, I would add your own and make it personal, make it sound like you and feel like you, and what you would actually say to someone, because that's, like I said, this should be automating what you would send yourself anyway. So once it's sent that, it will filter out anyone who's already part of your network, so it won't try and add people who are you're already connected to, because you don't want to get to introduce yourself and send a network request if you are already connected. Then once they've accepted your request, you can then set it to send a message. So it'll say here, hi, thank you for accepting my invitation. Again, edit this to apply to you, and then you can check for replies. Basically, all this does is you give it a list of people, it goes through and sends connection requests to your second and third connections with a personalized message. When they accept, you send a message going, hey, lovely to connect. And that's it. You've grown your network, you've got more connections, and you said hi, and hopefully it starts a conversation. I'd recommend having a message that does start a conversation rather than that. To show you the example of my current campaign I'm running, I think I mentioned earlier. So I'm launching a new case study offer, where I do video case studies and written case studies for B2B and SaaS companies. To launch this, I wanted to send out a broadcast effectively to people in my network, first connections only. So I send a message out that says, hey, I wanted to give you a heads up. So automation here, it says, you can put into it, pulls in the names, it'll put in the first name, hope you're well, give you a heads up, 50% offer, John. Written in my words, because it's a message that I wrote myself to send that to people, and that's it. And then what happens is, it checks for replies, and then for people who haven't replied to that first message, they'll send a follow-up, just saying, hey, not sure if you got my last message, but just kind of a bit more information about the case studies offer. That's what it does. That goes through, and then that's it. Checks replies process. So as you can see here, I've so far run this against 230 people, had 19 replies to my first one, 4 replies to my second follow-up message. How you add people to this is kind of a key part of the journey here. If you go to LinkedIn or to Sales Navigator, so I've got a search here where I haven't reached out to product marketing managers in my network yet. So I'm searching for first 3 connections, product marketing managers. I've set some geographical bits there. And what I can literally do is just grab the link here, go into here and go, right, I want to add some profiles to this, to this campaign. So I enter in there, fill from LinkedIn URL. And what it does is, using this automation, it will go through and start pulling in people from my search into this list. I could have used, people who have commented on this post, or people from this search, or people who like this post, or things like that. So you can give it different qualifying lists, and then it'll go through and basically just make sure it fits the criteria and add them in. So you can see here, collected, it's pulling in, of the 81 I gave them, it's pulled in 48 so far. Pulls in the name, grabs the first name and details and stuff like that, any kind of stuff they need, and go in there. So once that's done, which is now done, it then in case of just clicking start campaign. Then what happens is the automation kicks off. In this browser, it'll start doing it. It's outside my working hours right now, so it won't run. But what you would see if it's running is just see a Go through and you'll just see the browser changing and moving as the software clicks on a person, messages them, puts the message in that you've told it to message, go on to the next one, and it'll give you the stats, give you the stuff you need to know about here. So it's quite straightforward. It's easy to get started. It's also easy to get overwhelmed because if you go to like campaigns, like that, there's so many different types of campaigns that you can run. It can be overwhelming. Start small, start simple, start with just growing your network and just reaching out to people and saying, if you have something, a new offer or something like that, you want to reach out to a bunch of people and say, hey, here's something about what I'm doing now. This is a great tool to do it. But don't overdo it. Don't ruin people's day by spamming them with loads of messages. Just be mindful, be kind, and this should make your life a bit easier. If this video was useful, please like and subscribe and comment and share and that stuff. I still want any feedback you've got about other videos you might want on this channel. It's about making marketing easier using automation tools and stuff like that. The first video was about creating a local AI that you can run whenever and for free and stuff. So anything that's going to be useful for that, let me know in the comments and I'll add it to my list. See you next time.